There's a famous radio
I asked what should be done to make the people loyal, Confucius answered, exhort
due to the
the
fact that,
straight to decide the crooked.
like, two people are commenting on baseball, and one of the players is called Who or something, and so...
Okay, the names of the first baseman is Who, the second baseman is What, the third baseman is named I Don't Know, left field is named Why, center field is named Because. So then you got like...
Seeing as you and Mark are familiar, you guys run through the bit together, go on.
Okay, can you go to the Who's on First Wikipedia page, Mark?
No, from memory. Let's do it from memory, guys. Seeing as we were so insistent on everybody else
recognizing us. Okay, you throw the ball to first base, and then you say, then who gets it?
Then who gets?
Naturally.
Who's on first?
Yeah, exactly.
What's on second?
Yeah, what's on second, exactly.
Just exhausts my knowledge.
Oh, boy. You're hired.
I thought you Jews were supposed to be funny. You're out here fucking messing up the classic vaudeville bit. Who's on first? Do you guys know the Aristocrats?
The joke, like the joke.
Yeah, the joke.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear it?
Like your version of it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, to be fair, you give us a preview of it like every time you run a thought experiment. So I was skull fucking his child, right?
Alright, well, fair enough.
Yeah, what was it like? You were talking to someone the other day, and you just went 0 to 1,000 with like an example. I can't even remember it was. It was like obviously we would like come to expect that from you, and like in these spaces, I guess it's kind of acceptable. It's like not completely inappropriate. There's like in the environment you were in, it just was insane. Like you just analogized some, I don't know, like something like innocuous case to like some extreme shit, and the person was like, "Wait, hold on, wait, why? Why did you use this example?" I wish I could remember what it was.
Yeah. Well, the other day, someone got mad at me because I was like about LLMs, and they were like, LLMs are definitely not conscious. Like, it's a less than 0.01% chance that they're conscious, and because they're made out of like math and stuff like that, and like algorithms and stats. And I was like, bro, you're just made out of like chemistry, bro. Like, why are you so fucking confident that like chemistry can give consciousness, but not fucking these like mathematical like statistical whatever operations? And then I kind of got to the point of like talking about like imagine some aliens ripping humans' brains apart, being like, don't worry, it's just they're made out of meat. You know, there's no big deal. We're just like, you know, they're just. I mean, they look like they're conscious, but they're a bunch of meat sacks. Like, look at them, and like just like ripping us apart, and, like ripping their brains apart and shit. I don't know. They thought I was being too aggressive.
You did, because I actually wanted to ask Mark this for a while. Like, Mark, what's your view on maths? Like the ontology of mathematics, like what?
I mean, I lean towards structuralism, but I'm sure I'm not aware of all of the best arguments against it.
Today.
Sorry, was I muted?
No, I heard you.
Okay, sorry, I think I pressed the button multiple times and I got confused as to whether it was off the entire time. But yes, I'm sorry, I should say, in case you're not familiar, structuralism is the view that, like, it's basically tries to be like a middle way between full-fledged nominalism, where there really are these platonic abstract entities that live in like some platonic heaven, and they're like the reference of, you know, various like terms like 7 or whatever in math. Between that and full-blown fictionalism, where essentially all mathematical statements, or the vast majority of them, are just literally false, but they're still useful in some way that would need to be fleshed out. Structuralism says that when you make mathematical claims, you're not talking about any one specific thing. Rather, you're sort of like quantifying over any collection of objects that can be modeled, you know, in some numerical system. So, for example, like when we're talking about the natural numbers, meaning 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so forth, and nothing else, we're not really naming specific objects like the number 1 versus the number 2, which are like sort of independent of everything else. Rather, we're just saying like, we're just making claims about any system any collection of objects that can be like sort of put into that sort of structural correspondence. Like, imagine sort of like an infinite line of basketballs where there's the first basketball and then one foot to the right of that, and then another basketball 1 foot to the right of that, right? That's a kind of structure. That's a collection of objects that has the structure that we're thinking of when we think of the integers. And we're really just so when we say, so when we're making claims about the integers, we're just making claims about any structure that looks like that, rather than one specific Platonic structure, namely the capital I integers or the capital N naturals. I don't know if that makes sense.
Is that like the majority view?
I don't know.
Look, can I?
No. If you're asking about math, like mathematicians, the majority view is math Platonism.
Well, go ahead.
Sorry, just on the view, like whether or not it's a consensus or not. Is it coherent to ask what the nature of the structure is?
Well, I mean, sure, it's a bit of an ambiguous question. I mean, if it's the sort of infinite line of basketballs, the nature of that particular structure.
Well, no, in terms of whether or not that is kind of like, because okay, so we have this you have this spectrum of like on the one extremity you have it's like a useful fiction, and the other end you have like it's exists in the ether or the Platonic realm or whatever. The structure in and of itself, though, it's like, where does that fall? Or is the structure just a continuum or something? Like what?
Well, by structure, I just mean.
You're just saying like that is a third, like that is just the middle of.
Comment on Zadi. Zadi pronounced Zadi, transcribed as TZ, the number 90, meaning fish hook, the natural intelligence. The hook is the letter Zadi, the gate is the letter Daleth, and the right hand is the letter Yod. This paragraph of the meditation is merely the development, letter by letter, of some of the implicits of the letter name Zadi, TZDI. The number of the letter name Zadi is 104, and the addition of the digits of this number is 5, the number of the letter Ha, which means a window. The vision of reality which corrects the illusions of outer appearance results from the turning the eye of the soul within. Compare this passage with the whole meditation on the letter Ha. This paragraph refers to the 28th path of wisdom, which joins the Sephira Netzach to the Sephira Yesod. This path is called the natural intelligence, and it is associated through the letter Zadi with the function of meditation. At the time the outline of these meditations was first given, we also received the following comment on the 4th section. It is one of the profoundest doctrines of sacred science, the doctrine that the universe owes its existence to the Creator's perpetual self-recognition. Nature is thus the result of spirit's meditation upon the powers of its own being. The universe is thought into existence and is maintained in existence by thought. Upon this foundation rests the whole structure of practical occultism, and from this doctrine you may understand the importance of meditation. Whenever aspirants really meditate, they are sharing in the exercise of the divine power that created everything. Thus, one of the tests whereby a student may know whether or not he has really succeeded in meditation is this. Let him find out whether or not what he has been doing takes form in the production of something better than he had before he began to meditate. Students of tarot will be interested in this comment on the relation between Zadi and the 17th key called the star. The application to the tarot is that to the self-contemplation of spirit, the universe appears as it really is. The Divine Mother is always unveiled before her Lord. One of the profoundest doctrines. The application to the tarot is that to the self-contemplation of spirit, the universe appears as it really is. The Divine Mother is always unveiled before her Lord to man, except in those rare moments when he participates in the divine manifested meditation. She, at best, the veiled Isis, and at worst, the demon of the 15th key, the devil. A great silence in Hebrew is domam dvmm, which adds to 90, the value of the letter Zadi. The pillar of establishment is Jakin, IKIN, which also adds to 90. The meditation on Kopf. I am the knot in the endless cord of life, binding past the future in the eternal present. I am Aleph and Tav, beginning and end. All that was and all that shall be now is, for in mine eyes time is not. Therefore am I the outset of the quest, and also the goal thereof, and I am the way of life. Application. Therefore am I the outset of the quest, and also the goal thereof, and I am the way of life. This is my hidden being, behind the face of the vast countenance. Therefore am I called the back of the head, which is not a head. I am the sum of all perfections, the decad, multiplied by itself. In this my number shall be found a key to the bringing forth of form. Number 18, the moon. My presence is the cause of every form, and to those who have eyes to see, wherever a man may plant his foot is holy ground. Not alone in sanctuary set apart, but in the street and marketplace, in the abode of sin as well as in the house of prayer. Mayest thou say with thy father Jacob, surely the Lord is in this place, and I knew it not. Verily, thy consciousness of body is my self-knowledge of form, and by that knowledge working in thee do I maintain thine existence in all states and conditions. Therefore am I. Behold, I dwell with thee, O Israel. Thou dwellest with me. Take heed that thou despise not thy Lord in human form. Comment on Kopf, Qoph, pronounced Kofi. Transcribed as Q, the number 100. Meaning back of the head, the corporeal intelligence. The ancient form of the letter Kopf looks like a knot tied in a cord. Aleph and Tav are the first and last letters of the Hebrew alphabet. This statement, I am Aleph and Tav, is like that in the Apocalypse, which says of the heavenly man that he is Alpha and Omega. It is a commonplace in the Kabbalah that the accusative particle F-A-T-H, formed from the first and last letters of the alphabet, implies the whole alphabet, and thus the totality of the divine powers. This section is based on the meaning of the letter name Kopf, QBP, back of the head which is not a head, is a Kabbalistic name for Kether. The crown, it is the head or beginning of the 10 Sephiroth. It is not a head because the concentration of the limitless light. Behold, I dwell with. It is not a head because the concentration of the limitless light in Kether is itself an effect of the mysterious power inherent in Ein Sof Hour. The vast countenance, or macroprosopos, is another name for Kether. Thus, what is implied here is that Kopf represents the radiant darkness, Ein Sof Hour, which is behind or back of the first Sephirah. The numeral value of the letter Kopf is 100, or 10 by 10, the decad multiplied by itself. The key to the bringing forth of form is this. The ineffable Sephiroth hidden in Ein Sof Hour are brought into manifestation as the 10 Sephiroth forming the tree of life. This is accomplished by means of the self-contemplation of the life power. Thus the power of the ineffable Sephiroth is as it were multiplied through the manifested Sephiroth, and this multiplication is represented by the number 100. The key word in this section is the noun place, which in Hebrew is makalm, MQVM.
It is not ahead because the
Thus the power of the ineffable Sephiroth is as it were multiplied through the manifested Sephiroth, and this multiplication is represented by the number 100. The keyword in this section is the noun place, which in Hebrew is Makam MQVM. The number of this word is 186, the same as that of the letter name Kopf QVP. This section and the next refer to the 29th path of wisdom called corporeal intelligence, i.e. consciousness of body. It is written of this path that it forms every body which is formed in all the worlds, and is the reproduction of them. Corporeal intelligence, consciousness of body. Number 19, the sun, the meditation on Resh. I am the face which shineth ever, and before which the darkness hasteth away. I am the white brilliance of the head which is not a head. I am the profuse giver of all abundance. Yet though I am the greatest of the great, I am also smallest of the small. I am the depth as well as the height, the without as well as that which is within. For in me are all opposites united. I am the glory of the eternal source, and I am the foundation of the kingdom of the ageless result. In Asya I am the sun, whose rays are the spring of life and action. The sun in this material world is the father of all bodies therein, and the cause of every movement. Yet though I am thy son, I am also every sun. Lose not the spirit in the symbol, O seeker for light. Beneath the wings of the great sun thou dwellest, and this is the sun whereof the prophets spake. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings. Yea, in that day shalt thou sing unto the Lord a new song. Yea, in that day shalt thou sing unto the Lord a new song, a song of rejoicing in his beautiful countenance, the face of thine own true self. Comment on Resh. Resh pronounced Resh, transcribed as the number 200, meaning face, the collective intelligence. The first section rehearses various names of Kether, the crown. These are Resha Haora, Risha Hivira, the white head, Toth Zal, Zol, the profuse giver, Nakida Peshut, NQDHPSHVTH, the small point, and Olyun, OLI, the end, the most high. The end of the paragraph refers to the path of Resh, the 30th path of wisdom, called the collective intelligence, which joins Hod, glory or splendor, to Yesod, foundation. Asiya is the lowest of the four Kabbalistic worlds. This section begins with the attribution of the physical sun to the letter Resh. It goes on to warn us that this physical sun... It goes on to warn us that the physical sun is not to be confounded with the spiritual sun. This section is reminiscent of the great Egyptian symbol of the winged disc. The key word is kanafim, K-N-P-I-M, wings, which adds up to 200, the numeral value of the letter Resh. Compare this with the conclusion of the Rosicrucian Fama Fraternatis, which ends sub umbra alarum tuarum Jehovah, under the shadow of thy wings, Jehovah. In the last paragraph, the keyword is the noun shir, S-H-I-R, a song. This has the same numeral value 510 as the letter name Resh, R-I-S-H, and is spelt with the same letters in a different order. The word face in the last line is a direct play upon the meaning of the letter name. 20, Judgment, the meditation on Shin. I am the circle of eternal flames, self-fed. From this fire all things proceed, in it all things have their being, and to it all return. To the unenlightened it is a devouring flame, and therefore is it the fang of death. For by my transforming power do I cause the cessation of mine expression in created forms. The universe see not that cessation in one form is but the transition to another. Shin, the tooth or fang, is the perfect circle also. Without beginning, without end, this the wise perceive and know that for no creature can there be death. Triple is my flame in manifestation, and one in essence, 3 tongues of fire, 3 manifesting words, and 1 being whence all come forth, 1 archetypal world, 1 creative letter, and 3 worlds derived therefrom, such is the manifestation of the sacred fire. This is the fire of formation, and by this fire is atonement made. This fire is hidden in the depths of the waters of the great sea, for in the root of waters is concealed the fire of the Father. Behold, this is the fire of the breath of the mighty ones, as it appeareth as a flame of separation. This living flame is the power of the anointed one, the power of the mighty thunders of the swift flash, which divideth the one into the two, and in its return absorbeth the two into the perfect unity. Comment on Shin. Shin pronounced Sheen, transcribed as Sh. The number 300, meaning tooth or fang, the perpetual intelligence. Circle is used here because every circle has 360 degrees, and 360 is the value of the letter name Shin, flame. Because of the attribution of the element of fire to the letter Shin, note also that the circle is the geometrical symbol of outgoing and return. The key word in this paragraph is fang, which is one meaning of the letter name Shin. This paragraph contains a repetition of the reference to the number of the letter name 360 as that of the degrees of a circle. This paragraph is based upon the shape of the letter, which resembles 3 tongues of flame rising from a fire. The key word in this paragraph is formation, which is Yetzer, I-T-Z-R. Behold, this is the fire of... The key word in this paragraph is formation, which is Yetzer, I-T-Z-R, having for its number 300 the value of the character Shin. Similarly, atonement is Kafar, KPR, to cover, to condone, to placate, to cancel, which also adds to 300. The second paragraph of this section contains the same doctrine as that given in the Meditation on Zion. Bina is the great sea. The root of waters in Kokma is the Father, and the root of fire. The fire in Kokma springs from the descent of the primal whirling motion which begins in Ketha, and is transcended through the path of Aleph, to which is attributed Ruach, RVCH, the life breath. The Ruach Elohim is what the text means by the breath of the mighty ones, and Ruach Elohim is RVCH, which words add up to 300, the value of Shin. It is on this account that Shin is called the holy letter. The Ruach Elohim is what the text means by the breath of the mighty ones, and Ruach Elohim is RVCHALHIM, which words add up to 300, the value of Shin. It is on this account that Shin is called the holy letter. It is said to appear as a flame of separation, because separation is Piravd, P-I-R-V-D, which also adds to 300. Note too that the form of the letter shows 3 separated flames. The anointed one is Ha-Messiah, H-M-S-H-I-H, a variant spelling of the word ordinarily rendered M-S-H-I-C-H. In this form it adds to 300. The thunders is Rachamim, R-O-M-I-M, which adds to 360, the value of the letter name Shin. The swift flash is the descent of the Sephiroth into instantaneous manifestation, often pictured by Kabbalists as a lightning flash. Because of the words of the Book of Formation, 10 ineffable Sephiroth, their appearance is like that of a flash of lightning, the goal is infinite. The Ruach. The descent of the Sephiroth seems to divide the unity of spirit into the divisions, manifest and unmanifest. In Hebrew, too, is S-H-N-I, Shane, and pronounced as Shani. It means the second. This word is made up of the same letters as S-H-I-N and has consequently the same numeral value. Even so, the circle, which the number 360 expresses numerically, is a symbol of circumscription. and thus of division between the definite area within its circumference and the indefinite expanse outside. The world, the meditation on Tav. I am the end and summation of all things, the end which is without end, even as the beginning. Fourfold am I in activity and tenfold in aspect, and within me are 400 lights of emanation, manifest in 10, and having also 24 thrones of primal forces. The descent of the... Yea, I am Tav, the end and the sign of continuation. Learn by this, O Israel, that never do I cease my self-expression. Therefore is it written, Leolam, throughout endless ages. My going forth is a perpetual instruction, for verily the path of Tav hath its beginning in the foundation of instruction. Now the burden of the instruction is this end and beginning of one. When then is the end, which is the beginning also? Behold, in THV Tav is it concealed. For THV is ATH, Ata also, and thus is it made clear that thou, even thou, art beginning and end, and the window of vision which looketh inward to the source and outward to the goal. Through all the shifting changes of existence, I remain myself, and the self which I am is thine own true self. Therefore is the end of all wisdom hid within the one word, ATH, thou. What thou seekest truly that thou art. The treasure thou journeyest afar to find is the jewel of eternity in thy heart of hearts. Comment on Tav. TAV pronounced Tav, transcribed as TH, the number 400, meaning mark or cross the administrative intelligence, is the final letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Tav symbolically represents completeness or the end of manifestation. The letter name Tav, THV, however, subtly conveys the idea which the meditation calls the end which is without end. For in Hebrew, the letter V is used as the conjunction and, so that the letter name THV suggests end by TH and continuation by V. The doctrine of the fourfold activity of spirit occurs again and again in the Kabbalah and is expressed in many ways. The name of God, IHVH, is four-lettered, each letter corresponding to one of the four elements. Therefore is the end of all. The name of God, IHVH, is four-lettered, each letter corresponding to one of the four elements and to one of the four Kabbalistic worlds. The letters of this name are represented by the four animals described in the vision of Ezekiel. They four had the face of a lion, of an eagle, of a man, of an ox. These living creatures correspond to the four aspects of the Absolute. The lion corresponds to life, to the element of fire, to Atziluth, the archetypal world, to Yod in IHVH, and to the Sephira Kokma, root of fire. The eagle corresponds to mind, to the element of water, to Bria, the creative world, to the first hair in IHVH, and to the Sephira, Bina, the root of water. The man corresponds to the third aspect, truth, or law, to the element of air, to Yetzirah, the formative world, to Vav in IHVH, and to the Sephira Tifereth attributed to air. The ox or bull corresponds to the fourth aspect of love.
I mean, one problem with structuralism is that, okay, maybe you've dispensed with the need to posit most ordinary mathematical entities like real numbers or natural numbers or complex numbers to say nothing of like higher order entities like sets or functions or vector spaces or whatever. But it seems like you still do have to like quantify over statements or propositions or whatever. And it doesn't seem like you can really easily get away with dispensing over those, and it's not clear if how embarrassing that is to fictionalists. If you do have to admit and end up admitting those as platonic entities. And if you're going to go with those platonic entities, why not go sort of whole hog, with numbers and.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a reason why they can't deny the existence of, propositions as abstract.
No, I mean, they certainly can. But it seems like once you've paid for propositions, it's not that much more expensive to pay for numbers.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Anyways, I appreciate it. I gotta be on mic again.
Could we just, for funsies, just define a concept that's like camel, that's just really, really precise? We just have like 10,000 properties that we think camels have, and then this is not what we're saying actual camels are. We're saying here's this hypothetical concept that's like camel, and then couldn't we do all sorts of like interesting stuff with that concept about like if you had these properties, how would these properties relate to each other? And
of course.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of benefit from identifying that your picture of a horse without any humps is not a camel.
We could call it a SAML.
Do you think that the SAML, would the SAML description ultimately be definable in terms of math?
Because I think it would actually also.
It's your concept. You could.
I'm pretty sure that camels aren't born with humps, right? So, like, hump's not necessarily a feature.
Well, this is an open question.
You're drawing
of samolology. But I mean,
well, under that version, it becomes a camel later, but it's not born a camel. It's weird.
You could define a camel as like any collection of protons, neutrons, and electrons that is within a certain difference of a certain distance of some specific, really, 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 really complicated configuration that you think represents camels, roughly speaking.
Finally, precision.
It would take up, to precisely specify, it would probably take up, more symbols than exist atoms in the universe, but in theory, something like that.
God's knowledge.
I love the idea of someone doing AP camel biology. Like, they just figure out all sorts of things. They're like, oh, we've deduced that they're gonna have these like kidney diseases. They'll have them if they eat this kind of grass. Like they prior.
Yeah, but that's what like medieval physicians did, right? Like they just said, oh, I think like these particular fluids do these things, so they just came up with like just thinking about it, what would cause various kinds of ailments, right? And that's why they killed more people than they healed.
In the early 20th century, axiomatization was all the rage because it had meant so much success in the foundations of mathematics. And so I know like they were trying to axiomatize everything, and I know some guy tried to axiomatize biology. So maybe he failed, but maybe you can take up the reins and continue where he left off.
I think fertile ground for pseudoscience. Really, you should lean into this one.
I should look into it because, like, it must like. I feel without having looked at it at all, that intellectual project strikes me as almost certainly being completely worthless. But I want to see like what was going through that guy's head.
Isn't this what the ancient alien people do? Right? They say they look at what technology can build now, right, and they just armchair about what like could be built without that stuff, right, and then just come up with ancient brown people couldn't have built pyramids.
Also, I'm pretty sure they know how they built the pyramids. Clever system.
Yeah, we've got pretty good ideas. Like there are details that we don't know, but like in general, and we know who and when.
Right.
Nah.
Well, that's still a bit of a.
The Sphinx. The Sphinx is more of a question than the
Sphinx is way older, right? That's a weird one.
That's right. Yeah, the Sphinx was buried in sand, so it'd be way older.
My guess is that they just moved the rocks and then stacked them on top of each other, you know?
That's right. And
See, this is why we don't put you in charge of the Egyptian projects.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, on some abstract level, I'm right about this, how they did.
Well, we know how they made the obelisks and erected them by, mounding sand and removing sand and stuff and tipping things into certain positions, right? It takes a lot of effort and time, but it's not like particularly complex. So why not think they did bigger stuff like the exact same way, just more people?
Right. What's impressive is the testament to patience and commitment. Not like the complexity, but the amount of people that got on board with this ridiculous project, seemingly. Like, what exactly was it for? We don't really know. We just theorize.
Well, so, like, the Egyptians had a unique benefit, too, because of, like, their geography, right? Because the Nile flooding, meant that half the year they had nothing that had to be done, right? So you could conscript a nation of farmers to help move blocks in the the non-growing season.
Which, if you'll recall, was the primary objection of the Jews that demanded a holiday.
Well, who cares what they demand? But anyway,
exactly. You didn't care, so fuck you. 10 plagues for you.
Me? I'm pretty sure black Labradors had nothing to do with the pyramids.
No, not the pyramids.
Like, I think it's even more impressive, like Stonehenge and stuff, right? Because like they had far less of a period of downtime for like the availability of getting food than like the Egyptians, right? Because the Nile meant they had many months of perfectly decent weather to work in where they couldn't farm, but like Stonehenge and stuff,
Stonehenge is just like impossible. There's no account.
Well, the off season there would have been covered in snow and ice, right?
Not the off season, just like those fucking rocks. They know where they came from, and there's just like no way to get them there.
Well, there is, right? It just takes lots of dragging and effort. But my point is that when they could have been doing the moving, right, it's not likely they're going to be doing it in winter, right? And when it's not winter is when they're growing food and stuff, right, and hunting. So to get a lot of people to like not do stuff to provide food for themselves,
right?
Like when they can, just seems way harder than getting a bunch of people who couldn't be growing food if they wanted to move stuff in sand, right? When it's not going to be freezing cold.
Right, I hear your objection. You're saying there's no reasonable time where we can imagine.
It's not an objection, right? It's just like, I think that's why it's more impressive. It would have taken fewer people than the pyramids, but during a period of the year where like they're losing more, like the opportunity cost loss there is greater, in my opinion, than the random farmer in Egypt.
Right, I hear you. Nile was blessed.
Okay, hey Sam in the room, like, give me your thoughts on this. So I was on Discord the other day, talking to people, right? And the notion of like truth came up, right? And I'm saying that, trying to tell them and explain that like the truth maker of a proposition, right, is so the propositions, there's something it's about, right, and some predicate of the thing, right, and the truth maker is like the fact of the matter of the thing or the state of affairs in the world, right, about whether that predicate, actually is instantiated in the thing, right, and this guy was trying to tell me that no, the truth maker is the person saying the words, right, which doesn't make any sense, right, that it's only true if they like investigate it and determine that what the facts are.
That feels like
right?
they're understanding the concept of a truth maker and just kind of
and then they were trying to tell me that like I just didn't understand anything about what I was saying, right? And I was even telling the guy that, like, I agree with him. We don't have direct access to like the reality, right? But like whether the proposition is true or not has nothing to do with whether we know that it's true. And like they just could not understand it, right? And like I felt like maybe I'm the dumbest person on earth because it seems pretty damn simple. Like it's true if the statement corresponds with like the way the world is, right? Whether we know it or not doesn't matter about whether it's true or not, and whether it's ever expressed doesnn't change the facts of that.
Right. Just think about like a veil that no human's ever seen behind.
Yeah, that's
either like there's like a potato or not a potato behind the veil, you know.
So
and like whether it's true, whether it's a potato behind there depends on the potato being behind there. It doesn't depend on humans knowing about it, you know, or having people see the veil.
I tried multiple like examples to demonstrate this, like you know, like my dog having black fur, right? Like if I never said the words, if the proposition's truth doesn't depend on me like investigating a dog. Well, it depends on like the color of light that her fur reflects or not.
It sounds like they were trying to corral you into your own perspective rather than reality being the truth maker. They wanted you to think about your perspective in making whatever statement or declaration.
Yeah.
So like it feels like motivated reasoning, which would probably be why they fought you so hard.
They think like the truth maker. They're thinking of it. I tried to explain this. They're thinking of it like in the common like English people maker on something like a toy maker is a person